Hey, welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 457. Today is the 16th of August, 2023. Man, bunch of birthdays. Random intro. Today's my dad's birthday. I've got a grandma having a birthday tomorrow. I've got a friend having a birthday. So I'm going to call this the birthday episode for no good reason. But besides that, we've got a bunch of stuff to go through. We've got a couple of quick announcements, and then we got questions, pre-posted questions. And then if you're watching live, of course, you can ask questions and we will get to those if we have time. Regardless, give us a shout out, say hello, all that sort of good stuff. We like to know that everybody's here. And before we get into announcements, want to say hello to the guys real quick and then get into stuff. So Chris, how you doing today?
Back in the heat wave here in Austria, as you can expect. Lots of work. At the same time, also hitting the gym, so good lifestyle.
Nice. All right, man. Bradley, how about you? How you doing?
Busy, fucking crazy busy. I'm good though. Just a lot of work, but making really good progress. I've been working on a high level integration with a kind of a custom integration for what I'm trying to do for the DHA or Directory Hybrid Agency program that we hope to launch right after POFU Live. And I had to get another kind of a custom development company involved to do this, but I think they've been able to get everything configured the way that I hoped. And I think I'm probably about a week away from having that finally completely resolved, which will be really big. It's been something that's been on my mind for about a month. So anyway, making progress and excited about it. Glad to be here.
Well, for the people who maybe aren't here regularly, could you give the elevator pitch for DHA?
Directory Hybrid Agency is about building an agency, niche specific agency with a directory component, which is what you use for prospecting and sales, for marketing and sales and prospecting, et cetera, as kind of at least initially. And then over time, that ends up becoming part of an overall, like it can help with SEO, and you can also use it to generate leads for inbound leads and all kinds of stuff. But it's basically a business in a box, an entire business program developed around a niche specific directory site and building an agency around that, and the kind of like the whole 9 yards. So that's kind of, I've been working on this now for almost 3 years. And for this entire year of 2023, I've been working on developing all the training to try to pull all this together to create this program. And I'm close. I'm real close. I can see light at the end of the tunnel now. So I'm hoping to have it done and ready for to present at the POFU Live event. And then we're going to do a public launch afterwards in October.
Nice. All right. Well, speaking of POFU Live, if you haven't gotten your tickets for POFU Live 2023, head over to pofulive.com. If you have more questions about that, you can, of course, find out everything you need to know there. But live event, focusing on local SEO, but branching out into things like automation, AI, prospecting, all that sort of good stuff. We got some amazing speakers this year, not just ourselves, but we're going to have some great guest speakers. Really looking forward to being in person. And this takes place September 29th and 30th in the Boston area. So locking it down, we got our venue set up, and then they pulled the rug out from under us. And so went back to the drawing board, and I'm getting ready to sign contracts on the venue tomorrow.
Sweet.
So we'll have that stuff lined up, and we got the VIP event scheduled. So really looking forward to that, taking over a bowling alley in South Boston. So after things on Friday on the 29th, for the VIP attendees, we're going to roll over to that, have some food, have some drinks, do some bowling, shoot the shit, have a good time. So highly suggest doing that. It's a lot of fun. Every time we do it, we've done something kind of different, and it's just been a blast. So pofulive.com. Other thing, two more things just wanted to say real quick. If you're catching the replay, head over. If you're not watching it on YouTube, or if you are, head over to YouTube, click subscribe, stay up to date on this. We put out tons of videos as far as the Hump Day Hangouts, and then we chop them up into individual questions, and this way you can get notified of that. Other than that, wanted to say too, if you're looking to take things up a notch, or 3 or 10, and you are doing local SEO, either as a freelancer or as an agency owner, you should come check out the mastermind. Find out more about that at mastermind.smackmastery.com.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Anything else?
No, just want to say hi to the peeps in the chat.
Yeah.
We got several in here already. Cecilia, some of the normal faces, David, Michael,
Will, Craig, yep.
Yeah, Mega Doofus. And James Lowry. What's up, guys? Right on, guys. All right, I'm going to jump into it. let me grab the screen. Make sure my desktop is fairly clean. Hold on a minute. Let's see, move that over. All right, let's do it. Not a whole lot of questions, so we'll roll through them and then chat with the chatty bunch in the group and then wrap it up for the day, which is fine. I've got a ton of work to do this week, man. I mentioned over the last few weeks that there has been an issue with cold emailing. Deliverability kind of tanked for a while. We had a real hard time. I have a company that we use for multiple businesses now that does appointment setting. They do cold outreach emails, and we pay per booked appointment. It's Eagle Info Services. Attaché runs it. This guy named Attachés. They're fabulous. They're outstanding. There's a setup fee, and then there's a cost per booked appointment. It's rather expensive.
Well,
but you only pay
for appointment that actually shows up.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's right. This is just going to say you only pay for the appointment if they show. If they don't show, you don't pay. Anyway, it's a great service, and there was about 2 months where like lead flow just damn near stopped. And that was in Attaché. We have a meeting every month, the first Wednesday of every month, and he tells goes through what the stats are and what the campaigns look like and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, there was about a 2-month period where the lead flow had really kind of declined to almost nothing. A couple would come in, but anyway, it was because of some issues with the email service providers and all that. Apparently he resolved it. And I've said it before, I do teach how to kind of set up and warm up domains so you can do cold email outreach and all that kind of stuff, but it's a pain in the ass and it's a never ending battle. And I much prefer just hiring a company to do it. It's, in my opinion, it's so worth it because that's all they do. So they're really good at it. And so because of that, like all of a sudden, man, we've started getting all kinds of sales calls booked, which I have a love-hate relationship with that. Number one, I love it because it means new blood, right? New revenue is going to be coming into the business. There's no question. The more sales calls, the more revenue. Full stop, right? Because we're always going to close some of those sales calls. So for that, it's good. I'm excited about it. But at the same time, I'm still the one that does 100% of all the sales calls for every one of the companies. And so until I get myself out of the position of being the salesperson, I sometimes dread the fact that we get multiple sales calls scheduled in a week because it's like it prevents me from being productive on all the other stuff that I have to do as still kind of a manager in multiple businesses. I've not removed myself from all of the day-to-day operations. I have in a large part, but there's still a lot of stuff that requires my attention on a daily basis. And, that's my POFU. We talk about POFU Live, position of fuck you. And our live event is called POFU Live because we're always trying to be on our own path to POFU, right? Which is what we've been saying that for years. And I'm still not there yet. And I'm striving for it. But anyway, long story short, I have a love-hate relationship with sales calls. I'm excited because it always means more revenue. But at the same time, I dread them because it prevents me from being productive and managing all the other stuff that I have to do. So I'm working on getting somebody to take over sales for me. But it's probably going to be another 6 or 8 weeks before that happens. So anyway. So let's jump into the questions, guys. Taylor is the first one up. Hey guys, and what's in your opinion the best and most affordable white label review management app that we can resell to clients for a monthly fee? Also, what prices would you suggest based on dealing with local clients? Looking for something standalone and not something like HighLevel, which is great, but has lots of stuff I don't need. Well, that's what I would suggest because you can use HighLevel only for review, solicitation, and database reactivation, which is like one of their primary functions anyway. And I would recommend using HighLevel for that because you pay for, like an agency account monthly, $300, $297 a month for an agency account. And you can have unlimited sub accounts. So you can literally spin off as many sub accounts as you want. You can scale without adding to your costs, which is why I like it. And there's there are plenty of snapshot providers out there that you can purchase customized snapshots for review campaigns and all kinds of stuff. GHL Smart Reviews is one of them. That's the one that I use. It's called GHL for Go High Level Smart Reviews. But it's great. And that's what I've been using for years now, for I'd say 3 years, because again, there's no cost per location like there is with most of the others that I've seen. Bright Local has one now, though. If you use Bright Local reporting for like local SEO stuff, they have they've had one for a while, a reputation management app that's integrated with theirs. There is a per location charge for that. Bird Eye, I have a partner at Tree Care HQ now, actually, and he uses Bird Eye for just doing review stuff too as well, and he likes it. So, and I've got a client, a long time roofing client, that's been using Bird Eye for many years, and he swears by it. So that's another one. I've not used any of the ones except for High Level, just to be clear. So, and I like High Level because again, it's infinitely scalable without additional costs. So the more locations you add, the lower your monthly cost, right? Because if you think about it, you're only paying a flat fee and you can add more and more and more. So again, in my opinion, it's a really good system. Plus, if you get High Level and you become, I know you said it's got all this other stuff you don't need, but how do you know you're not going to need that stuff later, right? If your business expands and grows, your high level can act as a CRM. It can do your review management, as you just talked about, a website builder, although I don't think it's a great website builder for ranking websites, for websites that you want to rank in Google search. They can, but Google doesn't like that code as much as it likes WordPress. I know that for a fact. But high level sites are also great for ad campaigns. In fact, my agency site for Tree Care HQ is being updated right now by a company called JD Funnel. They're in Pakistan. They're fabulous. They're high level website developers. Man, they're good. God, they're good. And anyway, so I just reached out to them today because my roofing client, I was just mentioned, I only got one roofing client now. He's been with me since 2014. He asked me to start running some Google Ads campaigns for him. So I just contacted JD Funnel to build a roofing landing page, roof replacement landing page in High Level that we can use for an ads campaign. So again, I like it because it's like the Swiss Army knife of marketing automation. And it just gives you so much functionality. I know it's a hell of a learning curve. But if you just focus in on only the components that you need, such as review solicitation, and review management type of stuff, then really you can become quite proficient with it just from that alone, and then always learn to use the other functions as needed, when needed. Anyways, that's my opinion. There are other people out there who use other services, and that's fine. I prefer to use High Level so that I don't have to have 18,000 different services when I've got one that does almost all of them anyway. So anyway, moving on. Oh, by the way, what would I charge for that? Well, here again, that's why I like using High Level, because it's infinitely scalable without adding additional cost. So I only charge $100 a month for sub accounts that includes reputation review solicitation, essentially. And it has the component that connects with the Google business profile, so that the client can go in and respond to reviews and everything from right inside High Level. So what I'm saying is it's funny because my partner now at Tree Care HQ, he was trying to just sell review services for a while at starting $300 a month or something like that. And I was always like, hey, knock yourself out. If you can do it, great. I sell mine for $100 a month. I just sell access to what I call the lead management app, which is just a sub account in High Level, for $100 a month. And that includes review solicitation and, management if they want to connect it to their Google business profile and manage the reviews and everything from in there. We don't do that for them for $100 a month, but they get access to the app, which has a snapshot in there that whenever they mark a job as completed, it automatically sends a review request to the customer, the job that they just completed. And so what I'm saying is I always said, well, I'm just going to charge $99 a month. That's it. I don't give a shit. To me, I don't do it for a profit center. I do it as a way to get them hooked onto using my app and constantly paying me, because then, $100 a month, they become kind of reliant on that app. They get used to it. They use it for automated appointment reminders, estimate request and job reminders and all that kind of stuff, automated review collection or solicitation and all of that for $100 a month. And it gives me access to constantly be pitching them additional or, services to ascend them up into other retainer-based services. So again, for me, I like to use reviews as review solicitation in my lead management app or Tree Care HQ app, I like to use that as just a foot in the door strategy, like a low barrier to entry kind of tripwire type offer that then I use that as kind of a way to just stay top of mind and try to ascend them up into higher retainer based services. If that makes sense. So, and $100 a month is all I charge. Moving on, Rex says, is there any way to leverage competitor brand names for ranking our own lead gen or agency brands? One of our members talked about doing a like versus post or comparison posts. That way you can work your competitors' keywords names into content. I've never done any of that, so I don't really have any. The only time I've used competitor brand names is for Google Ads campaigns. You don't use the competitors' names in the ad, but you can target their names. And I've done that for quite a few clients. I've got a campaign running right now for a tree service contractor because he reached out to me and said, hey man, I've got this one company that is just spending an ungodly amount of money on marketing in our local area, radio ads and cable TV ads and all kinds of stuff. And he said, and they are just dominating. And because of all the offline marketing that they're doing, they're getting a ton of branded search queries. And so when he told me that, I was like, well, shit, I'll set up a branded ad campaign and we'll poach some of their leads. And sure enough, I've been running that campaign for like 8 months now. And my cost per click is like $11 because it's a brand name that we're bidding on. And apparently because that brand is doing so much advertising offline, they're not bidding on their own brand name in AdWords or Google Ads. Because if they were, then they would always come up first in Google Ads for a brand search, because Google always does that. Like, in other words, if you're targeting brand names as your keywords, you can't put them in the ad name because you can get trademark, you get your ad rejected for trademark infringement and things like that. So you can't bid, you can't put the competitors' names in the ad, but you can bid on their names as if they were keywords, if that makes sense. But what happens is if that company is also advertising on their brand name, so bidding on their brand name as a keyword, then they will always have the highest quality score and they will always be ranked number one. But as long as if they're not bidding on it and you're bidding on it, then you can get above them in search in the ad section, right? They'll be in organic, but we can get above them for their brand name and kind of poach some of those leads away from them. And we pay like average CPC. I was just looking at the data today because I was in my ads account analyzing the roofing keywords for my roofing contractor. And I just happened to look at that campaign that's been running for months. And we have an average CPC like $11 and some change, which for tree service clicks, typically we run $50 to $60 per click. So you can see how a branded campaign is a great way to pull traffic away from competitors. As long as they're not bidding on their own brand names, you can do it, and you can get CPC values way lower than traditional keyword clicks, if that makes sense. So again, I don't do any of that for SEO purposes. Like, I've not really ever tried to target competitors' names for SEO purposes, except for using competitors' names in alt text of images. I've done that before. But again, I like to poach leads from competitors using branded ad campaigns, if that makes sense. Anyway, but you might want to try comparison posts, like, that might be a way to do it. I've just not actually tested that myself. All right, James says, is there any place we can buy already made SOPs for stuff like GMB services, SEO, et cetera, for use in our agencies? Yeah, I mean, you can go check the Flowster marketplace. Flowster has a marketplace, which Flowster is a standard operating procedure application. And they have a marketplace where you can buy pre-made SOPs. So I've thought about adding the SOPs that I develop into there, but mine are so specific to SEOs that there's really no point. We'll just market them to you guys and come join the mastermind, and then you get them for free. You don't have to buy them, right? Or you get them as part of your mastermind tuition, subscription, whatever you want to call it. But that's as far as I know. What is it? The blueprint, marketing blueprint. Oh, God, what's his name? Some of you guys know who I'm talking about. The guy that, God damn it, I can't think of his name now. Somebody can probably point it out in chat, but the marketing blueprint guy, he has SOPs for SEO. But they do mainly like national stuff, not local stuff. So I don't know what you're looking for, James. God, I know some of you guys in chat know who I'm talking about. Who's the marketing blueprint guys? Ryan. Yeah, Ryan, what's his last name? Cecilia? Figured you'd know it. Ryan Stewart. There you go. Of course, Cecilia would know that. Thank you, Cecilia. I mean that. Ryan Stewart. Yeah. He's got some really good SOPs that are kind of like for more national type SEO campaigns, from what I understand. I've seen some of them, and they're detailed. They're good. I thought about joining his program just to check out what they were doing, but I'm 100% local, and so anyways, I've heard good things about that though, so you might want to check that out. Okay, Paul says, hey guys, I found many local businesses find SEO out of their budgets and considering another angle focused on GMBs. Do you think having a cheaper productized service for only GMBs, thinking it would include embed, CTR, and possibly a press release? Do you think this is a good idea? What features and price points would you suggest? I mean, it is, but the thing is you can get better results ranking a GMB if you can also, optimize the website associated with it. Does that make sense? Like, in other words, you can rank a GBP without a self-hosted site. And you can do that, but there's a benefit to having it tied to a self-hosted site that is optimized well. In other words, if you were to take two Google business profiles and optimize the on page of the Google business profiles similarly, right, to where they were equally optimized, and this is theory, I'm talking about hypothetically, and one of them had the Google business website as the primary website, and that was it. So it didn't have a self-hosted site. But then the other one had a well-optimized website, well-structured, well-optimized website. Then the one that has the website is provided that, all the kind of engagement signals and everything else were equal. Again, this is a hypothetical because none of this can ever happen in reality, right? As far as like everything being equal, that's never going to happen. But what I'm saying is the site that has the well-optimized self-hosted site, well-structured too, because that matters, that is going to outperform the other Google business profile that doesn't, because you can add more relevance to the profile through the website. You can build more topical authority. Do you understand? That's why it's, and again, I didn't see this for a period of about a year and a half or so in the tree service industry. I don't know if this applied to other industries or not. I was very, very clear in my training in the Google business profile SOP. It has been in the mastermind for over 2 years now. I was very clear in all of that training that for about a period of a year and a half or so for tree service stuff, I was actually using the Google business website URL as the primary website URL for tree service Google business profiles. And I was getting a ranking boost from that. But I think it was what I isolated it to was the CTR or engagement factor in that when a customer that was searching for tree services would land on the Google business profile and then click the website button, instead of it going to a self-hosted site, that click would register through the Google business profile as another signal in the Google map. Does that make sense? So it was like by having the customer click on the website button in the Google business profile and in it taking them, the destination, taking them to the Google business website, it was additional engagement signals on the map profile. And so I was getting a maps boost from using the Google business website as the primary website, if that makes sense. But that waned over time. I don't know if that was, if Google caught on to it, if other people started abusing it. That's typically what happens in SEO. People catch on to a loophole, an exploit, right? They exploit it until Google catches on, and then Google closes that loophole. And then we find another one and we abuse it until it gets closed, right? We just keep doing that. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if that applied to other industries. I was very clear in my training saying, I don't know if you guys want to do this. And by the way, a lot of clients would bitch and moan and complain if you did that because they want their main website listed in the Google business profile. I totally get it. I understand it. But like I said, since, and probably sometime over the last year or so, that I noticed, well, probably over a year ago now, actually, I noticed that effect, that benefit of ranking in maps from using the Google business website as the primary website, it declined or just disappeared. So in fact, I started, and how I knew that was because newer locations that I had added or optimized for tree contractors that are clients of mine weren't ranking as well as they had. And then I just, for one of them or a couple of them or whatever, I had added the Google business, or excuse me, the main website to the profile, and just by swapping out the URL, I saw an increase in maps, exposure in maps. If that makes sense. And so I said, man, well, apparently that, Google is. And then what's interesting is after starting to switch all of my profiles, because I got a lot of lead gen assets too, that was using the Google business website as the primary website because of all the reasons I just mentioned. But then when I started going through my lead gen assets and then swapping that main URL out from the G site or the GB website to the main self-hosted site, all of a sudden I started seeing, not all of them, but most of the Google business profile started to get more exposure in maps. And then after that, I started noticing that all of a sudden, because of connecting the Google business profile to the self-hosted site, which had more content on the site, so more topical relevance than just the Google business website, Google would automatically start pulling in suggested services, right, into the services section of the Google business profile. Where did it get those? And why did all of a sudden, when I started switching away from the Google business website as the primary website URL to the self-hosted site, why did all of those Google business profiles automatically start pulling in at Google's, discretion, all of these additional services that it would add to the Google business profile? Well, it had to have come from the main website, right? That the Google business profile was linked to. And so Google crawls the main website and finds all these additional keywords that then it pulls in what it thinks are services and adds them to the service menu inside the Google business profile. So it was just these like little clues that I saw that really kind of proved to me that Google is absolutely using the main website as a kind of a relevance factor for the Google business profile. So I say all of that because I have done, for several years, I had just a Google business profile optimization retainer-based service, which was, I don't mess with your website. If you have a self-hosted site, so be it. I'm not touching it. I'll do just Google business SEO for $850 a month. That's where I started. That was my starting point. And then I would tell people like, look, if you want a self-hosted site, or I'm not going to manage an existing site, I'm just not going to do it. That's my policy. If you've got a site built by somebody else, I'm not touching it. I'm not going to touch it. But if you want a new site, which I will do, if you want us to manage the site, I'll build you a new site. And I don't charge per site. I don't charge for the site build. I charge $150 a month for the site. So I get paid $1,800 a year for the site every year, if that makes sense. And so I don't charge for the site build. I just throw it in with the add-on as 150. So it would go from $849 a month to $999 a month. Is what it would go to if they wanted me to build them a site. And I would tell them like, look, if you want a site outside of the Google business profile, either if you have one, great, we're just not going to do anything with it. We will provide consultation and optimization instructions to your webmaster, but we're not touching it. Or if you want us to build a site, we'll give it to you. We'll throw it in for free, or we'll throw it in, but there's a maintenance charge for us to manage and maintain it because it also requires additional work, right? So that's what I've always done. And it's worked well for me because I don't charge for websites, at least not to build them. I just charge to maintain them. And I get $1,800 a year per site that way. So anyway, I think you should productize all your services. I mean, there's definitely a time where customized SEO is warranted, but if you productize your services, you can scale, right? Custom SEO guys, you can't scale that because you can only work on one project at a time when it's custom SEO, right? Because it's going to be you doing the work, right? So productized services is something that you can scale because you can duplicate, delegate, and automate, right? You can duplicate yourself by producing an SOP, standard operating procedure, systematizing the process, and then delegating that work out, or you can find ways to automate at least parts of it, if not the whole thing. So productized services is how you scale. Customized SEO is how you remain self-employed. You understand? There's a difference between being a business owner and being self-employed. Self-employed is you are, a lot of us in the SEO industry call ourselves business owners, but we're really just self-employed, right? We're glorified employees of our own businesses because we are the ones doing most of the work most of the time. So productizing your services is how you can really scale because, again, you can duplicate, delegate, automate, and you can really scale. And that's essentially what the whole directory hybrid agency model is about, is only selling. You can have a component or an add-on for customized SEO services when it's needed. But we are selling, and I'm pitching and trying to teach all of our members when this program is launched to stick to productized SEO services so that you can build a real business that generates fuck you money. Like, no kidding. And instead of, nickel and diming it to death with custom SEO. And some people like to do that kind of work, so be it. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of that. But I think most people enter this business with the intent to make money, not just to do SEO. So if you want to make money, learn ways to make money in the SEO industry, not just do SEO, right? Hopefully that's clear. So would any of those work? You have to test. I mean, again, guys, if you're thinking about doing, I'm going to have products and services. I've got some developed now. In fact, I think next week we'll actually be able to start selling one of the 3 services that we're going to provide for the directory hybrid agency program, which is called Brand Builder. And I think that's going to be available for sale for us to fulfill next week. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because I spent months testing different types of services that I could turn into to determine what moves the needle consistently, right? So it's not 100% of the time, but 70% of the time. Like 70% of the time, this service produces measurable effect. And so that's what I ran with. And I took months trialing and erroring, like doing trial and error of different types of configuration, setups, recipes, whatever you want to call it, to figure out what consistently moves the needle. Again, it's not 100% of the time, but it's most of the time. So that's a productized service that once I proved and duplicated it and saw similar results over and over and over again, I said, okay, here's product number 1. Then I did it again, product number 2. Then I did it. Well, the other one, product 3, is really a conversion product. It's not a lead generating product. It's a conversion product or service. And that's something that I just developed over years of trial and error with tree service contractors. So anyway, the reason I bring that up is because it's something that, again, teaching a productized service, we can scale. I spent 3 or 4 weeks months actually, really developing the SOPs for that. I've got 2 VAs in training now that have been for the last 2 weeks. And like I said, I think next week we'll be able to start fulfilling that for others. And then because I've got the SOPs developed, and I've got now 2 team members developed on how to build out that first productized service. Then I can start adding more personnel as we bring on more and more of those jobs, because we'll be fulfilling for our program members too, I hope. We can bring on more people, and I don't have to manage them so much anymore, because we have now trained people that have been through the SOPs that can help assist train the new hires, right? So again, talking about scaling, getting back into scaling again, productized services. Try that with custom SEO. Good luck. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So just to get back to that, what I'm saying is, I have some suggestions. I'm not going to just give you my process. I spent months trialing and erroring it to try to figure out what works. I will be providing that as a done for you service with plenty of markup potential for our white label customers. Because our point is, like, for example, if I have a product that I can fulfill for 250 and sell it to you guys wholesale for 500, and you can sell it retail to end user clients, business owners for 1,000 or 1,500 a month, why the hell would you go through the process of building all that out yourself, hiring, training, managing all of that? If you have a white label fulfillment provider that has productized services that you can purchase work from, right? You can purchase fulfillment from for your clients, and leaves plenty of markup for you to make profit, then why go through all that hassle? I mean, again, some people want to, by all means, do it. In the mastermind, I will share the SOPs for how to do it. I've already started sharing them. But the point that I'm trying to make is, you building and learning how to do that work and build a team and manage and all that, it can make you money later, but it's going to be a lot of work. Where if you have somebody that can fulfill that for you now, and you have markup potential, plenty of profit that you can make off of it, then in my opinion, your best bet is to start off marketing and selling, right? So that you dial in the sales process and sell the shit out of it, get a whole bunch of revenue coming into your business without you being the one responsible for fulfilling it, right? Now you've got money coming in. And then once your cash flow needs are met, then you can start to bring all that work in-house if you want, because your cash flow needs are met. I see too many people in this industry that they want to try to build all that out when they got no fucking money coming in, right? And that makes it so much more difficult, because it ends up being you doing most of the work until because you think you're building this that's eventually going to pay off. And maybe it will, but I think the smarter route to go is to learn how to sell SEO services first, right? Learn how to market the service to a particular industry because it makes it easier. Sell the shit out of it. Dial in your sales process. Now you've got money coming in, consistent money coming in. You can hire personnel. You can buy tools, buy additional training. It just makes everything so much easier. Money solves problems. So get the money coming in, get your cash flow needs met, and then you can build the team around your business, if that makes sense. But it all starts with sales, guys. Sales is where the money is made. It's not in the fulfillment. And so anyway, I hope you guys get that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with the directory hybrid agency, is teach people about that. Like, stop thinking as just an SEO and start thinking of it as an SEO business, right? Instead of just thinking about SEO all the time, think about it as an SEO business. You want to make money with a business. So anyway, I think it's just a slight change in how you perceive it, but it makes a huge difference in my opinion. So what last thing, Paul, is just, again, I have some productized services that work that I've developed. If you're going to try to develop your own, then just start testing different recipes of things and monitor. You have to track everything, measure everything, right? In order to determine what is actually moving the needle and what's not. And once you found something that seems to work, duplicate it. See if you can duplicate it across multiple projects and it achieves similar results. And now you say, okay, now you're onto a winning recipe. And then you turn that into a product, develop SOPs around it, or find tools or whatever that can help to automate it. And now you can scale around that. So anyway, great question. Great question. David says, my GMB links to my homepage. My homepage is optimized for a service painting contractor. For schema, would I put local business or service schema on the homepage? I would do service schema. If you use connected schema, I've not done this that I know of, but I think you can connect both local business schema and service schema if it's connected properly. So essentially, local business schema references its primary service within the schema, if that makes sense. But I would go with local business in the most appropriate type. If it's painting contractor, I think they have, do they have painting contractor as a subtype of home and construction business? I think they do. But I would go with local business for sure. And if you're using an advanced schema app, I talked about this before, but I use schemaapp.com. I don't recommend it because they make you get onto a stupid sales call to get access to it now. I'm on an old plan that was grandfathered before they did that. I've been using it for years. That's the only reason why I've stuck with it. But Clint Butler has Rank Gear. Rank Gear is his advanced schema app. I would check that out because Clint knows his shit. And then there's also Rob Beal, my former partner, Marco Benavides, his partner now at the Heavy Hitter Club. They have a product called Schema Tech. I think it's called Schema Tech, which is his software that develops advanced SEO, or excuse me, schema. So you might want to try that if something like that. Maybe that's more than you need. It probably is. So like I said, I just use Schema app to do connected schema so that connected data items are done properly. But I don't do any crazy advanced schema stuff, not for local. I usually don't. So hopefully that's clear. Jason says, my Google Business Profile website is not indexed. It has been published and content was built out using your instruction videos. Any ideas? I've heard about that happen occasionally. Yeah. Map a custom domain to it. That'll solve the problem. I've heard about that happening occasionally. I've seen it happen a couple of times. And if you map a custom domain to it, it'll index for sure. So just, and again, log into the Google Business Profile, go into the Google Business Website Manager or Editor, whatever. And then at the top left kind of area, editor screen, there will be Google always suggests a custom domain. And although custom Google domains have been purchased by Squarespace now or something, I've gotten like 100 emails in the last couple of days about it because I got a whole bunch of Workspace accounts and Google domains. Anyway, just buy it through their Google domains, and then it makes it easy to just map it to a custom domain. So it's going to cost you $15 a year. It's worth it. The other thing you can do is, build some links to it. Publish a press release. Use the alternate format of the Google Business website URL to build links to it. Does it make sense? I've talked about this before. Give me a second, guys. I'll pull it up again. Just a minute. There it is. All right. So you guys see this? This is Google business websites typically look like this, right? Sorry, like this. Go ahead and put this down here. They typically look like this. So whatever subdomain you put there, and then it's on the .business.site domain. Well, this is the exact same site. All you do is you take the subdomain section and you put that over here, and this is on the google.com domain, not the .business. Or business.site domain. Does that make sense? They both resolve to the same location. But this one is much, much more powerful domain, a much stronger domain. So you can take whatever your Google business website URL is, convert it to this format right here, and then build some links to that, right? Again, Google business, that's what we do for all press releases, as I do for, for agency clients, is we publish a press release, or excuse me, we publish a Google business post that is summarizing whatever it's linking to on the money site. And then once we publish the Google business post, we go extract the post URL from the GB website, which is an inner page URL that looks like this. And then we convert it to this format because it's much stronger and it indexes, and you can rank these posts, no shit. And then once we convert it to this format, then I publish a press release that is linking to this version of the post URL that has the CTA button that links to the page on the money site that I'm trying to rank. And I can hit that post URL with a press release with exact match keyword anchor, or what I call target anchors, so that we're getting 400 to 500 links from press releases with the exact keyword that we want to rank, that is hitting that Google business post URL on the google.com domain, and then pushing that relevance through a generic anchor or miscellaneous anchor that says learn more on the button to the main site, the main money site page. It is a fantastic way to not only that, but here's a tip. I've talked about this before on Hump Day Hangouts, and sometimes I don't share these kind of things on Hump Day Hangouts, but you can push maps in a very specific way, proximity this way, because you can go target like neighborhood levels and then use the Google business posts like this to really kind of hammer. And you can almost like with a sniper approach, like start turning nodes in a local search grid, to expand proximity. You can do it that way with press releases. And I've talked about that a lot, but that works really well. So, and again, press releases have an expense. I get it. So you might want to try some other links, but I just like using press releases because I can hit one of these post URLs with, 300, 400, 500 links with the exact match anchor very quickly. And because it's on the the google.com domain, like you can just hammer that shit. And it, most likely that'll get that site to index too. But the quickest and easiest way is just buy a custom domain and map it to the GB website. Okay. Next, how important is buying links? Well, links are important. Buying them isn't important, but links are important. However you can get them is important. But whether you buy them, build them, hack them, I don't care how you get them, but links are important. Actually, I thought for a period of time there that links were going to become less and less important, and I almost feel like they're becoming more important again, because as long as they're relevant, that's the key. As long as they're relevant, links are working. So topical relevance for organic, geographic relevance for maps. Any way you can get them, buy them, purchase them, hack them, however you can get them. All right. Jenny, what's up, man? We had a nice call last week. He says, with so many, it was really interesting talking to you, by the way, just so you know. I enjoyed that. With so many press release vendors around, who are your top PR vendors that you use? I just use Press Advantage, and that's all I've been using for since 2014. I've used a few others, newswire.net for a few years, in addition to Press Advantage. And I also use Signal Genesis, Lane Houck's product, for a little while, and I have nothing bad to say about it. It's just, I'm just so used to using Press Advantage since 2014. And Jeremy Noltzman's the co-owner and the developer, and we become friends over the years. He's a colleague, a business associate of Semantic Mastery, and so he's done a lot of work in Press Advantage. and added a lot of functionality that at my request and things like that. And so anyways, I'm partial to Press Advantage and will remain so. So I use Press Advantage and I love it. I've been using them since 2000. I was on the launch webinar when they launched it, and I've been a paying subscriber ever since. No shit. So again, Signal Genesis is another good service I know, because Lane, they have a different methodology and how they use press releases and everything. It's very unique. That's why they call it Signal Genesis. They talk about sending signals in a very particular way that's kind of their own proprietary method. I know it can be effective for sure. But it's kind of almost apples and oranges. For more traditional press release vendors, I like to stick with Press Advantage for all the reasons I just described. All right. And next one says, my client has 40 services. He is a plumber and business is multi-location. And he wants me to rank him for all 40 services in each location in 3 months of time. You mean you didn't have it done yesterday? That seems to be a bit unrealistic, but I guess it depends on what the current status of the project is and everything else. I have no idea that I can't provide a good answer with that without having a lot more detail on far as structure and everything else. First and foremost, I would optimize for topics and entities and not keywords, so that you could rank one page for all of the freaking keywords associated with it. So there's a whole process for determining what are the top level topic terms. Also, if there's Google Business profiles associated with it, then oftentimes I will optimize for the Google Business category instead of the top level topic terms. Sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're not. Oftentimes they're not the same. I'm not going to go into detail in Hump Day Hangouts, a public setting, about what I'm talking about. I can't do it, guys. I talk about this in our mastermind. But if you optimize for a topic, which is there's a bunch of keywords associated with a topic. So like plumbing, for example, or plumber, which would be I believe that's the primary Google Business category is plumber, then that is a very broad topic term. You can optimize for that and you can rank that page or sub pages of that for all of the terms, right? So why I bring that up is because, in fact, let's just go take a look at this. Like if we just go click in here, yeah, plumber is the primary category, right? And by the way, that's local finder. That's not the same as maps, which is weird. If you click on the map 3-pack anymore or more businesses, it goes to local finder, but it's not the same as maps. It actually changes the data in some cases. Like it's weird, but the primary Google Business categories, and I've seen it's some real kind of strange things. Like I'm still haven't figured out what local finder is doing just yet. But in local finder, it's interesting. If you open up Google Maps and local finder side by side, you'll see some nuanced differences in the data of each of these profiles. Like the categories structure is different. Like the primary Google Business category will be all capitalized in local finder, whereas in maps, it's topic capitalization, which means the first letter of the first word is capitalized and all the rest of the words in that category name are lowercase. That's topic capitalization is the way that I like to refer to it. So it's really interesting to see that kind of differences. But so yeah, plumber is the primary Google Business category. So that is likely the top level term. So that's something that I would, but you'd have to look in Wikipedia and start trying to determine what are the top level terms. Like plumbing is probably a higher level term than plumber, because a plumber is somebody that provides plumbing services. So plumbing is a broader term than plumber. Do you understand? But it depends on how you optimize, depends on, do you optimize for the topic or the Google Business category? It depends. Is it a local project with a Google Business profile? If so, optimize for the category, the Google Business category. If it is a organic only asset that you're ranking in organic search without a maps component, then you want to optimize for the top level topic term, which would be plumbing over plumber. So again, there's nuanced differences, guys. And I spent months and months and months testing this. No shit. I've done a lot of training on this in our mastermind. So that was another good question though. But I can't answer the question without having more details. And I haven't done a plumbing site since 2014. No kidding on that too. So I don't know what the appropriate silo structure is for that. There used to be a really good site in Culpeper called Culpeper Home Services that was, I mean, it was God, they did an outstanding job in silo structure on that site. In fact, I modeled that site for when I started redesigning my own site structure to go from, and I don't have time to cover all this, but I used to always do what's called a bottom-up approach. And for every site that I built for many years, I always did a bottom-up internal linking approach. But then I saw Culpeper Home Services, which has now been bought out by apparently FH Fur Plumbing. And so their website is no longer live, but they had a fantastic website, Culpeper Home Services. And they did what I call a top-down approach for their silo structure or internal linking structure. And they just crushed it. For every freaking turn, they were number one. And so that's when I started, I actually kind of analyzed their site for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I started to test with that in tree services. And sure enough, the top-down approach is much better. It ranks much better. It performs much better than a bottom-up approach. So I started, all my recent SEO, or excuse me, tree service sites have been built with that kind of a structure, like the top-down approach. So I'm just saying that because, again, sometimes you can find a product. Let's see, this is FH Fur. It's probably not them. But every now and then you can find a site that is just done so well that you can model their own. Let's take a look at this. This might actually be it. Let's see, do they have locations in here? It's hard to tell. This, I'd have to go through and look at this site a little bit closer to see if they kept the structure and just rebranded it. But yeah, here's an example. So you can see, yeah, okay, take a look at this. This is kind of, it looks like they kept the same structure. They might have just rebranded. Let me pull this open. Take a look at this, guys. What did I just talk about? What is the primary term? Not plumber. Plumber is a professional that provides plumbing services. So plumbing is a broader term. That is a top-level topic term. So that's what they have in the silo. Drain cleaning is a function of plumbing, right? So you can see the silo structure here is done really well. Again, I think they just rebranded that site instead of changing the site altogether. Now look at this. If we copy this URL for clogged drains, boom, look at that. Drain cleaning, clog removal is a function of drain cleaning. So that's not a separate page because that is, I mean, it is a separate page, but it's not a separate page at this level. You understand? It's a subpage. So it's a supporting page of this service, which that's good hierarchy. That's good structure. Because if it was a flat site, or in other words, if those two services were on the same level, they could potentially compete for each other. But because of the way that they've got this site structured, it's not, because this is a supporting content for this service. Again, you can tell from the hierarchy of the URL. Right? Or the structure of the URL. So this site was done really well. I still think this is a bit overcomplicated, but it ranked really well, and it probably still does. I haven't looked at FH Fur, but I'm just saying, again, sometimes if you're in the plumbing industry, I would probably spend some time kind of analyzing this, using something like a page crawler, website auditor, or I don't know, does Screaming Frog do visual maps, site maps, visual site maps? I don't know if they do or not. I don't use Screaming Frog that much, but Website Auditor does. And you can go in and see the structure of the site in a visual format, and it might help you to determine how to structure yours. Why do I like these kinds, guys? Is because this is, again, the top-down approach is we can hit top-level directories with links, and it will power everything up that is a child category or nested underneath of it. Does that make sense? So in other words, you can hit this page here with links, and anything that is a subpage of plumbing is going to be powered up, right? Essentially, you're pushing link equity and relevance throughout the structure, but through the top-down approach, you can accomplish more with less links than doing the bottom-up approach, which is what I had done for many, many years, if that makes sense. So that's why I said, this kind of a structure is really good, because you can hit key strategic pages on the site that will power up a whole bunch of sub pages all at once. And it's a much more efficient way to build links. And also it's more efficient, or more cost effective, I should say. So anyway, another good question, but without more context, I probably couldn't tell you exactly how to structure it. And I think that was it for questions. So what are we looking at in comments?
We got a couple up near the top. I'm assuming this was a question for you, but is there a way to book a coaching call?
Yeah, and I sent him the link already.
Okay, cool. Let's see. We had Jim, if you didn't see this, Bradley said, not a question, but I was wearing my SM shirt, which for some, if anyone doesn't know, that means semantic mastery. And a woman asked me if I was an English professor. So anyways, that's awesome.
Hey, I ain't no good. I ain't got no good words. That's funny.
Oh man, let's see. Oh, a little while ago, you mentioned how PPC can benefit organic if done correctly. Could you go over that as well?
Yeah, great question. Because you're buying click-through rate manipulation, you're buying engagement signals directly from Google, like the belly of the beast, so to speak, right? You're literally buying verified Google profile traffic directly from Google. And Google will tell you that Google Ads traffic does not benefit SEO. They're full of shit. I've proven it many, many times. In fact, for a lot of tree service clients, I just set up a display ads campaign in Google Ads that we do what I call proximity push campaigns, which are essentially just to help push traffic, Google user traffic, to the Google map, the Google business website, and to the main website. So I target the 3 tier 0 assets with Google Ads campaigns with display ads in the Google Ads network, because I can set my geographic targeting to where I'm only getting clicks within a very specific radius, or within a specific zip code, or within a specific town, city, county, DMA region, or state, or whatever. I can change my geographic settings, parameters, to make it very, very specific. And I've done some training on this in the mastermind, how you can get hyper local with ads to where you can literally generate clicks from real Google users within a very specific, very narrow geographic area. So again, similar to what I was talking about with Google business posts, where you can almost like with laser or rifle type accuracy, actually start picking off nodes in a local search grid report, and turning them from yellow to green, right? So I always do the kind of proximity pushing around the outside edges where the map turns from green to yellow, right? Where it drops out of the 3-pack and it goes to position 4, 5, 6, etc. Those are always where I start to do the proximity push. I talked about earlier using press releases and Google business posts as a way to do that. There's also, you can do that with Google Ads. So you can send Google Ads traffic to very specific sections. You can do manipulated map URLs and send traffic to that, which acts, it's a Google user clicking a URL that you modified with specific coordinates in the URL to trigger a map engagement signal for that specific location, that coordinate, right? So again, you can start to push on maps and start to expand coverage or proximity by using Google Ads in a very targeted way. Now, if you combine what I talked about earlier with Google business posts and Google Ads, now you're talking about a compound effect, because now you're buying Google traffic, click-through rate manipulation from real Google users within a specific geographic area, and sending traffic to a Google business post that is optimized for a specific geographic region, if that makes sense. So it's, again, you start compounding these signals and it's fabulous. So Google Ads absolutely works to help when done properly for local. You can do it with YouTube ads too, but YouTube ads are more about the view than it is about the click. And I like using YouTube ads in conjunction with or in tandem with Google display ads, because the display ads are more about the click. The YouTube ads are more about the branding, right? Keeping the brand in front of the potential customers within a geographic area. And again, very, very inexpensive. I'll run an ads campaign, a display network ads campaign with $1 a day or $2 a day. And it, depending on how tight my targeting is, sometimes it won't even spend that much. Oftentimes it will, but sometimes it won't. So $1 or $2 a day, you're going to spend $30 to $60 per month. But it's a lot of people go out and spend money on CTR apps, and then they screw it up because they're trying to hammer away at keywords and everything else. When you're buying Google Ads traffic, it has nothing to do with keywords. It's about the click activity, right? And again, you can set geographic targeting, and you can set what they call audience segments or segments, which would be like, again, in the tree service industry, there are in-market audiences for home services, and then there's like landscaping and lawn care and things like that. So there are these audiences that Google predefines that it determines are Google users that are likely in market for particular products or services. So you can go in with Google Ads campaign, with a display network ads campaign, and set up geographic targeting and then layer onto that audience segmenting to in-market audiences that are likely in market for those specific products and services. Now, don't you think that a click from a real known Google user that is already in a predefined bucket that is likely in market for the products and services that you're promoting, don't you think that a click from that user going to your website or the Google Map profile is weighted a lot heavier than some generic CTR bot click? Everybody nod and say yes, okay? Because that is a much heavier weighted click because it is a valid click, number one, from a real Google user, number two, that Google has already predefined as likely going to engage with your ad. And so when you get a click from that, it is weighted a lot heavier than some generic bot click that has no profile, no history, no verification or anything else. So Google Ads absolutely can affect SEO when done properly, right? And very, very inexpensive. So it's a great strategy. Moving on. What's next?
I think that's it's about it, and it's about 5 o'clock. Was there anything at the bottom? Craig might have been asking you, do you use tube videos to help with links to a G site or money site?
I'm sorry, what was the question again? I was reading other questions.
Sorry, do you use, oh, I see. Do you use YouTube videos to help with links to a G site or money site?
I mean, we use YouTube videos and we'll put links in the, I don't do it much for the link building, but YouTube clicks to links from within YouTube videos or YouTube video descriptions are valuable clicks because again, it's a Google property. Clicks from Google properties to Google properties or from Google properties to money sites are valuable clicks. Again, they're very valuable clicks. So, and Michael Bowes taught about this, God, years ago now with the Viper tools, but like, if you set up YouTube ads or YouTube videos for local, and then you run traffic through those videos and click on the link to with an NAP, name, address, and phone number, and then the link to the money site and or Google Business Map and all that stuff, and then have clicks go through that can help with ranking, especially if the clicks and the views are coming within a specific geographic area, right, that are relevant to that location. So again, you can use YouTube ads to set up ad campaigns, display ad, or in-stream or pre-roll ads, whatever, in-stream ads, the ones that, you have to wait for 5 seconds to skip, or if you click on the video, it's just automatically takes you to the destination. Using those type of ads and in setting geographic targeting, again, I don't get a lot of clicks from those types of videos. Like I'm talking about on the ad side, the SEO function is going to remain the same, whether it's coming from an ad or coming from the description area of a organically ranked video. It doesn't matter. If you can set geographic targeting and you get users clicking through that are in that same general area and they're clicking through a link to your target assets, whether it's the money side or the Google business assets, but that click is coming through a Google property such as YouTube, that click is incredibly valuable. So I don't use YouTube videos specifically for link building, but I do always put the links in the YouTube videos or either in the description or in the comment section underneath and then pin the comment of the link that I want to, and then send traffic to those videos and get some click-throughs on that link. That is a valuable link. But the links from YouTube are no follow unless they're linking to other YouTube stuff. So was that it?
I think so.
All right. I don't think so. Yeah, I think so. Okay, guys. Appreciate you guys. It's 5 o'clock. Hey, look at that. Right on the money, man. So we'll see you guys mastermind webinar